Okay. So it's day...
It's Thursday.
Thursday.
Day 5, I guess.
Hopefully it's not too loud. We have
This is the little
the
outside
highway
of our condo.
behind us.
We've got a little outside area, so I'll start since Doug's pouring us beer. We
The
had
Vermonster.
we had a slow morning. We stayed in. It was a little rainy. I took our laundry to get done to a laundromat, and I went and picked us up some lunch while Doug worked on some niche site stuff. So that was good. Anything to add to that? So
No.
then about 11:30, we all got in the car and we drove up to Thompson Park, and we went to all of our first corn maze. Doug, Brody, and I had never done a corn maze.
Yeah, it was very exciting. We'll insert a clip here, some of the stuff we did. But yeah, it was actually pretty difficult overall. Cheers.
It was fun.
The corn's like 8 feet high. You really can't see around it, and everything, it looks the same.
We kept running into the same people in there, and we'd all start laughing because, you know, we'd have come from one direction, they'd have come from the other, and we're like, well, you know, where do we go now? So that was fun. Brody, it would have been more fun, I think, if we could have let him off the leash and just let him run, but we kept him on the leash. We were good dog people.
Yeah. Which way should we go, Brody?
Which way do we go?
We have a lot of choices.
Pick.
We can go that way, that way.
Okay. Okay, which way?
All right, let's go. Oh, oh, whoa, that's a whole, it's a cow jaw.
Okay, which way do we go?
It's probably good, babe.
Brody meets a cow.
Yeah, so we walked around a little bit after that, just by the creek in town. And Brody actually was very brave. He walked in the water, which normally he's not a water dog, so that was pretty neat. Yeah, he was enjoying it overall. So.
Yeah, pretty low key.
Yeah.
So then we came back, we dropped Brody off, and we got in the car, and we went down 100, and we stopped at the Cabot Annex and Lake Champlain chocolates.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you said Champlain, but she meant to say Champlain.
Yeah, two big sort of tourist attractions, but the Cabot Cheese Annex was overwhelming. They probably had 20 to 30 little like cheeses that you could try, and they just had toothpicks, and it was just like, go to town, eat cheese.
Yeah, it was like 80% cheddar, and then there was a couple Munster.
Pepperjack.
Yeah, but there was like so many variations of each of the kinds of cheeses.
Special cheddar, extra special cheddar, super extra special deluxe cheddar.
Yeah. Cellar Reserve cheddar.
Oh, yeah, it was a good
one. And then they had flavored syrups. They had herb blends, spice blends. There were other vendors that had stuff there. There was a wine
Popcorn
section.
topping.
Yeah, popcorn topping. There was beer, cider, everything. Overwhelming. We did get a couple things there, and if we weren't going out afterwards, we maybe would have picked up cheese. But there's only so much cheese you could eat, and we still have like half a pound here that we just got from the grocery store.
But it was pretty cool. And then we went over to the chocolate store, and I think we were slightly disappointed because we had oodles of samples, and there were no chocolate samples, none.
Zero.
And we've had good chocolate before, so I didn't really think Lake Champlain chocolates was going to be anything to write home about, but we bought like a bunch of tiny little samples to eat, and we had a couple of them, and they're okay. But again, I've had good chocolate.
But I would have bought fudge if they, how to get people to buy something is to give them samples, and then we probably would have bought like 3/4 of a pound of fudge and other stuff. But instead, we spent like $12 there. So
Doug's been in a buying
shame on them.
Today.
Yeah, shame on them. Yeah, you know what? They could have got me today. I was susceptible today for purchasing.
Today, this was his day.
But those were just
money is no object.
Those were just a pit stop as we were going back down to Waterbury to try and get some different kinds of beer. So the thing we were going after was Alchemist Heady Topper, which is a double IPA. It's supposed to be really good. It sells out every week, is what we hear, because they only ship out a limited amount to various places, only in Vermont, I think. And it basically sells out within a couple days. So it's super fresh, apparently very good. And the place that we tried to go to, Prohibition Pig, they were closed when we got there because they don't open for dinner until like 4, and we got there at 3:15. Luckily, we walked up the street to a place called Blackboard Pub, I think.
That might be right. Something like that. Right across, like literally right across the street.
Yeah. So we went there, and it turned out their beer selection was much better. They had probably like 24 beers, roughly, more than you could drink in like 2 days.
24. Just more than you could drink in 2 days.
You could drink 11 per day. Is the
tops?
Yeah.
That's 22. You would go into day 3.
So yeah,
it was a much cooler pub, like very chill. It reminded me of like a true English pub. It was just a bar area, a couple tables. The menu was just like 4 things, and they were out of half of them. Like it was just go in there, have a beer, and don't screw around.
Yeah.
And the bartender was really cool. We liked him.
Yeah.
So we had our Heady Topper there.
Yeah, they had it, and it was really good. And I think we'd have to do a head-to-head with like Pliny and some of the other like top double IPAs to really make a judgment on it. We could say it was really very good and very fresh. Like no doubt about the freshness. But to like wait in line for hours and to freak out about it, I'm not 100% sure. There's a lot of good beers out there.
I wouldn't say we were freaking out about it, but we were in a little bit of a minor freak out. It was one of the things we really wanted to do up here.
Yeah.
And after having it, I can say if we hadn't have done it, I don't think our trip would have been less fulfilling.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you can't get it anywhere else. It's like, you got to try and do it. So we tried to do it.
And we did it.
Yeah. And then, so once we finished up there, the place across the street, Prohibition Pig, we went there before. We got mac and cheese, and I wanted to try the barbecue. And we went there, and the barbecue was like amateurish at best. The chopped pork. The chopped pork, that's kind of that's an easy thing to make, and if you chop it, and if you chop up the pork, then it's hard to screw it up. The brisket was it tasted like roast beef. It was shaved like razor thin, which is like a symptom of poorly cooked brisket. And
granted, we were in Austin, Texas earlier this year, so we've had some like world-class brisket. But even if I had never had brisket before, I would have said this is not good.
Yeah. Or I was going to say, Austin, they have really good stuff. um, even like a backyard like barbecuer that like has made brisket more than like once or twice should be able to pull off a better brisket than that one. I mean, it seemed like they shaved it and then they put it under the lights to like reheat, and it was just dry. It was I would say embarrassing.
So
You know what? In fact, I would say if they serve it to the chef and they were like, "Yeah, this is exactly what I intended," I would
kill him.
I'd get a new chef maybe. So anyway, after we finished there, we quickly got the fuck away, and then we headed back north.
Came up here, we got Broad, and they have a thing called Art on Park. They do it during the summer. This was the last Thursday of the summer. And I never buy anything at those things, but I like to walk around and see them. I like to talk to people and just hear what they have. So Doug was kind enough to get us back on time so we could walk over there. And Mr. Shopping Pants here had a big time. And Brody had a big time too. There was lots of dogs there, but he was by far the best. And that's not just me saying it. Other people said it to us too, how well behaved he was and how they wished all the dogs were like that. So everybody stopped and petted him.
Probably 20 to 25 people stopped and petted him.
It was like a little therapy session for everybody else. Bro just kind of sat there and tolerated it as best he could. So that was cool for him. And then Doug continued his shopping rampage of the day. Which is like I think he spent like $100 on stuff today.
Yeah, we got
rampage, but
we got some really good blueberry almond jam. Fantastic. We met the guy that makes it.
Yeah, it's cool to buy stuff from the people who make it.
Really good. And then I got a nice ingrained cutting board, and it's a furniture maker who basically takes scraps from his furniture making stuff, or at least where he works, and makes cutting boards, like exotic wood cutting boards. So he works at a high-end like furniture making place, and they're super intricate and like very
they're art.
Detailed.
They're art. Some of them you would buy and maybe hang on the wall, like you would a really nice platter. Like Mom, I know you used to have some platters hanging on the wall. Yeah. Like they're that nice.
And he even said people get these as art pieces, and I was like, "What's your cheapest ingrained?" And he showed us that one. He said, "This is really plain," and
he'd had it for over a year.
Yeah, he was like, like, don't worry, no one's gonna buy it right now. And basically, he was like, "People buy this stuff; it's art," and I'm like, "I'm gonna use this," and he's like, "This is probably a good one. It's it's really thick." So yeah, I'm excited to
walnut, cherry, and maple wood.
Yeah, so good wood for cutting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
And that was the day. And then
And then we're drinking this rock art which is up the road in I think it's Mooresville. So this is 100 IBU. I think it's another double IPA, and it's called Vermonster. Meow.